New Luvafoodie iced tea. 4 clean drinking iced tea flavors. Lemon lovers, passion fruit lovers, raspberry lovers, and blood orange lovers iced tea. Eat clean, be well and stay well with our clean eating spice blends at Luvafoodie.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's me again. I did change my top. This is the second show today for Luvafoodie LinkedIn Live. It's Monday, November 21st. I'm squeezing a special guest in because I've been wanting to have Ganja on the show for a long time, and due to her schedule and my schedule, this is when it worked. So I'm going to introduce Ganja, and I'm going to let you say your last name because I'm afraid I'm going to butcher it.
It's okay. It's a Sendamir.
Sendamir.
Yeah.
And she is with a company called Flatbread Grill and also Thumb Bread. Ganja, tell us your story. Tell us your background, everything about your company, and what came first, did the bread or the restaurant?
So my sisters and I started the restaurant in 2007 when I was still in college. My big sister was laid off from her corporate job, and my little sister had just graduated college, and she was trying to decide between a career on Wall Street or going to law school. And my father was diagnosed with congestive heart failure at the time, and he needed open heart surgery. So he didn't have any insurance, and he also couldn't work anymore because that was going to speed up his heart failure. So pretty soon, my big sister was taking care of him and supporting my mom as well. And after she was laid off, instead of going back to work for corporate, she decided that she would start a restaurant. And we grew up in restaurants. My father was an entrepreneur. He came to America in 1975, gave up a professional soccer career in Turkey, to put himself through school, build businesses. But he did end up losing everything. So we did grow up in poverty. So that's one of the reasons he never had health insurance. He always kind of worked for himself, and at the time he was diagnosed with a heart failure, he was an independent contractor. So he was freelancing. He didn't have insurance.
Did your mom work?
No, my mom doesn't speak English and she's disabled. So
Okay.
I mean, she helped my father as much as she could running his businesses in this country. So she did her fair share of physical labor, but she wasn't really at the point where she could continue working. So the financial burden of supporting them was really on my big sister's shoulder. And she, asked Arzu, do you want to help me start a restaurant? It was very casual. And then they asked me, like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to start a restaurant with us? And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't have much else going on.
Was your dad a chef? I mean, did he teach you his daughters how to cook?
So it wasn't. Arzu and I didn't have like formal training. Fisu did because she was actually forced to work at his restaurants when she was like 12 years old. So she got an early start of like learning how to butcher the meat, work the grill, the register, and all that because she didn't really have a choice. Unfortunately, she's the first-born daughter of immigrants. They don't give you a choice. So but we were there at the restaurant every day, like every day. That's where I did my homework. That's, I lived in restaurants growing up. And my father was just, he told us that one of his former soccer coaches, Turkish soccer coaches, taught him how to cook. And my mom was always just a natural born cook. She grew up in a small village in Turkey with no running water or electricity. And her mom taught her how to cook. Same thing, like, how to butcher a live chicken outside and do all that. So, food has always been kind of a binding thing for us. And in our culture, it's very important to us. And we love to eat,
Yes.
In high school, we weren't really allowed to socialize or have friends or do too much outside of homework, going home, going to martial arts training. So one of the things we were allowed to do was go eat. And Arzu and I, that's what we did. And then when Feastin had a car, our biggest adventures were going up and down New Jersey, finding new restaurants to eat at, you know. So food was just something we always loved. And we all had service jobs. Like I have had dozens and dozens of food service jobs. Arzu worked in food service and to put herself through college. So it was just, kind of ingrained in us. Um,
Yeah. And I've been to Turkey. I love Turkish food. I've been to Istanbul and apple tea, and I love that kind of food. I mean, all the spices in the spice market obviously is right up my alley. But so tell us then, how this bread, this did the thumb. So you opened a restaurant. Did the thumb bread come before, or is that a bread that you grew up with?
um, so it was kind of integrated into the restaurant concept because Arzu decided that we were going to have to um, differentiate. She's used the word differentiation at the time, that we were going to have to find a way to make ourselves different, unique. And if we were going to survive, we were going to have to be a concept with a brand. And the basis of the concept was going to be making fresh homemade bread. Now, of course, I know a sane person would think, well, we don't know how to make bread, and we don't know how to create our own special bread, but to be young and naive, and believe that you're invincible and you can do anything, we were determined to find a way to make this bread. And her vision was we were going to come up with a bread that we could use across our entire menu. And it was going to be soft, it was going to be fluffy. We were going to make sandwiches on it, but if people wanted to eat it with their soups and salads, it was going to be delicious enough to eat with their soups and salads. And she asked my father to help her find a baker in a Turkish community, and then nobody like understood her vision. They thought it was bizarre, and they wanted us to use like traditional Turkish breads, and that wasn't good enough for her. So she learned how to bake herself, and my father, like I said, he was kind of like a natural baker cook, so he was able to assist her, and she just formulated this recipe, and as the years went on, we just improved it to where it could finally be a retail product.
You want to show us what it looks like?
Sure. So
It
that's it.
looks good.
Yes, this is
And
a retail bag, and then we sell it by itself as well.
nice. And so you opened the restaurant, and what is the name? The first restaurant? What you have more
It
than
was
one now.
a flatbread grill.
Flatbread bread. And was that the flatbread that you served, or or is that the bread that you served there?
It was one of them. We did do a variation of pita bread that was kind of unique to us, and then we did like a flat tortilla type bread, more traditional Turkish bread called lavash bread. And
I
that's
love
like
lavash.
yeah. So we did, but the thumb bread actually became the standout on our menu very quickly, and it became popular with kids. And then the New York Times wrote about our breads, so that kind of helped establish credibility for our menu.
So how many restaurants do you have?
So we had three locations, and during the pandemic, we decided that we were going to close them and work on the bread full time, and people thought we were crazy for that.
It's a hard
But
time for restaurants during all restaurants, especially
yeah,
small businesses, startups, extremely difficult.
yeah, it's already a tough industry, and we had
Absolutely.
done it for 14 years, and we opened during the recession of 2008, and it's kind of it was just one of those things where we already knew we had so much experience in this industry that there was going to be cost of goods problems, labor shortages, like we just saw all of that coming, and we had wanted to work on the bread for such a long time, and we were never able to because the restaurants do really just take up all of
Yeah,
your time, especially when you're
right.
running multiple locations, because we were owner operators. We self-funded our restaurant. We built them ourselves, funded them ourselves. We worked in them, and it was exhausting. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. So you pivoted during COVID, and you said, let's just focus on what we know everybody loves and what could be a retail item, and that was the thumb bread.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you don't have any retail locations right now, is that correct? Or am I wrong?
Yes. No, we don't.
Okay.
We are going to bring it back, but please don't ask me when because it might be next year, it might be the following year. I don't know yet. Now that we have a way to make the bread in larger quantities, because while we were expanding and we were offering franchising opportunities, we were still making the bread by hand. And at the time, we actually got into retail while we still had the restaurants open, and we were making by hand for the stores we were selling in, and then multiple restaurant locations daily, every single day in a like a 600 square feet restaurant location. So, but now that we have a way to make it faster, more efficiently, we are going to restart the restaurant concept. So.
So Ganja, do you have I missed something. Do you have a co-packer that makes the bread for you, or do you have just a larger facility and you're still making the bread?
Yeah, we have a dedicated baking facility. We make it ourselves, and we did max out on our space, so we are looking to expand into a new bigger space. Hopefully that'll happen early next year. But yeah, my sisters and I are making it right
You
now.
still are making it yourselves. You haven't hired people to do that?
No, not yet. I don't know how much. Um, So we had to automate a good part of the process because that's really the only way you can mass manufacture a product for large
Retail.
retail accounts. Yeah. So
Right.
um, when we do move into our new place, a lot of the equipment will be automated. So we're trying to still maintain an aspect of it. So it is still, touching human hands, but it's not going to be the same as we were when we were making it in our restaurants, which was like we were scaling, dividing it by
Right.
hand. It's just the process changed a little bit. The quality is still pretty good.
So did you and your sisters have to raise money or capital or get investors in order to buy the equipment to in the facility, or how did you fund that?
No, we we do everything ourselves. So when we were getting ready to pivot, one of the biggest reasons why we didn't want to still have, the restaurant assets anymore is because the restaurant, you have great cash flows. A lot of money comes in, but a lot of money also goes out. And in a pandemic, in a recession, inflationary times, people, the first thing they cut out is eating. So we already knew that you're going to expend a great amount of financial energy into keeping the business open, and that's what a lot of people are doing right now. They're using their own money, they're borrowing money, they're using lines of credit, and we had always operated without debt. And that's one of the things that sustained us is, we weren't borrowing money, we were self-funded. So our decision was basically let's put whatever resources we would have put into keeping the restaurant business going into this. So, we got we used what we had saved, and we got the machine. It was a very expensive machine, more than a
Oh, I'm
luxury
sure. Right.
you know, we were able to finance it. We actually found a great couple. They were getting ready to retire, and they had a retail and a wholesale business for baking bread. And we just went in and said, okay, we will, if you rent it to us as is with like all of your equipment still here, we will take it. And they did. So we got very lucky in that aspect, and we never get lucky because the oven, and when we started talking to like the oven people, the mixer people, it was like everyone's saying, oh, it's going to take 12 weeks, and we're like, we have POs to fill, we can't wait 12 weeks. So it happened the right way at the right time. Then they had everything there. I mean, the mixer is, it's a 50-year-old mixer, and it's not ideal, but it works.
But it works.
Yeah, it
It works.
works. So, and the small things we had to get, like more trays, baking racks, those were, they're not as costly as buying a double rotating rack oven. So the oven was already there. So
Okay. So tell me how you got into grocery because I went into your website and is it Stop and Shop?
ShopRite.
Stop right.
We
I
have to
knew it
say
was something
ShopRite
like
because that's their competitors.
okay, because I want to get in both of those ShopRite and Stop and Shop buyers with Luvafoodie
Oh yeah.
spices and iced tea.
They are
How did
so
you get into that?
so
I mean,
interestingly enough, I met with Stop and Shop like years ago when we were first starting to like think about retail, and they're great people. It has changed though, the buyers have changed. But ShopRite, that happened by chance. One of the divisions saw the product and he
at
liked
another
it.
store, or where
No,
did
no,
you
we
see
had
it?
a former one of the former buyers we worked with when we had the restaurant. We were making the bread for a specialty retailer. He left and he was doing sales. So I was still in touch with him and he showed it to the one of the division the category managers. I'm sorry. I'm not using the right terminology here. So
It's
he showed
okay.
it to the category manager and the distributor and they liked it. So they were the first ones to open a door for us and give us an opportunity. And then from there, um, the other divisions started, opening doors for us. So it's, ShopRite works two ways. I know you mentioned you want to get your product into ShopRite, and a lot of people say that to us because they are one of the biggest retailers, most well-respected retailers in the Northeast. And they've been an absolute joy to work with. So they're cooperative and they're part of Wakefern. We work with the divisions directly. We're not in Wakefern yet. So, you can go about it, my advice to you is you can go about it two ways. You can go present to Wakefern, which is, a very, very large entity, or you can go division to division, And we do enjoy having the relationship with the different divisions just because they're family owned, a lot of them. So you kind of
Hmm.
get like that family owned business aspect of it, and they really care about the product, and you want people who care about your product because if they don't care about
Absolutely.
the product, you'll die on the shelf. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you make the product, the bread at your location, and then you mentioned a distributor. Who are you with? What distributor?
so we use a Wakefern approved distributor, NG Gourmet, and they're because you have to use a Wakefern approved distributor, and I don't know all of the approved distributors off the top of my head. I'm still very new at this,
But
but
they
they're the
come to
ones that
your facility and pick up the bread and then self-distribute. Is that correct?
no, we send the product to them.
To
We
the
send it out with a
distributor?
truck. Yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
some distributors do come and pick up for you. So, and it depends on which distributor you're working with, how you want to work with them. I mean, I'm sure like pickup
Right.
allowances and stuff like that. So,
Right.
for us, we send it out and it's working right now. If you could find the right logistics company to work with.
Yes, yes. So so you've got this gourmet bread and I'm sure ShopRite, right? ShopRite has, and I haven't been in a store, but that's only because I don't live in the Northeast. Um, they have their own bakery department. They make their
Mhm.
own bread. So what makes your bread different from their bread? I mean, what made the buyers say, you know what, we want to bring an outside bread company in that's going to give our customers something better or different than our, rustic white bread that we make in house. I'm just making that up.
Um, so obviously they're a customer of ours. So I have no gripes with their bakery products. I actually think that one of the things that makes them such a great retailer in this area is they do have a premium bakery, like in-house bakery. Some of the people do the baking, still inside, and then there's some that they finish off the baking there, and it varies. Like it's not, it depends on which location you go to, how big it is. But yeah, obviously private label is probably the biggest challenge and obstacle. It's not with just ShopRite, it's with everybody, because everybody's moving to private label.
Right.
There are some retailers that just like love the theatrics of having an in-house bakery so you can watch their associates bake. But at the end of the day, this is a premium product, and people who try it, we pride ourselves on having a repeat customer base. So it's different from a lot of the breads out there because it was specifically formulated to be the bread for everything. So it works as a sandwich bread, it works as a toast bread, it works as an appetizer bread, a dip bread. So we formulated specifically to function like that, to be versatile. When you go into a supermarket, you're almost always going to say, okay, I'm going to pick up a baguette bread because I'm going to use it for this. I'm going to pick up a Kaiser roll because I need it for this. And it's very difficult to find, use a baguette bread for 10 different applications, So
Agree.
it's different in its texture and its accommodation, and the utility of it is different. People will buy the bread and find that they can replace their sliced toast bread with it. And the quality, I think I like to believe it's pretty good because majority of the bread that's on the market is made by machines in factories, and some of it, the ingredients are not as as
Clean.
premium. Yeah, as clean and premium ingredients. We're still using bagged flour. But in terms of like the in-house bakery, I think ShopRite is one of those retailers that wants to be able to offer their customers options. Obviously private label is very big for them. Their Bowl and Basket brand is phenomenal, but they actually thrive on offering options to their customers and having unique products. So, um, it's not competition for them. It's an enhancement to their bakery category.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way they approached it, and which I think is it's probably one of the things that makes their bakery so successful is that they don't block a product out because it competes with their private label. They don't say like, oh, we're not gonna put you here because you might take away sales somewhere. And a lot of retailers do that.
Right.
So,
But so your selling proposition is more of, keep your in-house bakery, that's fine, keep your in-house breads, but our bread is premium. It can work in different applications, and it's
mhm.
going to probably complement your bread sales versus takeaway.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's your
Exactly. That's my
proposition.
sales pitch. I'm gonna steal that actually because
You
we
can.
do.
Yes.
That's a great
I
sales
just I
pitch.
just want a loaf to taste. I just want I usually love to taste it, and I know you were out sick, but it looks so good, especially from your pictures on your website.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, I can't wait to try it. There was another question I was going to ask you. Oh, I think I saw on LinkedIn. Now I could be wrong, but did you get into 7-Eleven?
So so 7-Eleven is obviously their worldwide enterprise, and the way it works with them is you normally have to be in test markets first, and then their corporate division will consider you for other locations. But for us, it was really just the local 7-Elevens. As much as I would love to do 40,000 7-Elevens, I don't even think that's possible. But
You
yeah,
might
it's
have
just
to
it
get
was
some help then.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's really just like local ones up here, but it's something that we've been wanting to get our single serve. And one of the reasons we did the single serve is because we wanted to get it into C stores, because C stores really are an untapped market for consumer good brands, and um, it it worked out. And obviously we want to be able to like expand on it. So for next year, that's one of our big goals, is to be able to expand our C store relationships and partnerships.
but that's still very exciting. I mean, that number one, that 7 or 11, the local stores have that option or that ability to buy local. I've never heard of
Mhm.
that. So that's exciting, and I mean, it's kudos to you, and it's a foot in the door.
You have to think outside the box. I know, because we're selling bread, as it's very unexpected item to be selling. And again, like you said, like everybody has their in-house bakeries, people are doing private labeling. So this is kind of like if you're not doing a very special bread like gluten-free bread or no carb bread, then it's
Right.
um it's almost unheard of to take a new bread product and bring it into market. There's barriers to entry there. But for us, because we built up the brand equity over so many years, and it especially in this area, it became a recognizable brand. And also we do have a worldwide social media following, so that helps us a little bit. Um, and you just have to think outside the box. Like you can't think, okay, I'm just gonna go and put my bread on a supermarket shelf.
Oh, you have to
Like,
think
because
of, yeah,
like when we were starting out, people were like giving us advice, oh, go to only higher end markets that have, 2 or 3 locations that are very specialty, that are gonna charge like $7.99, $8.99 for your bread. And we're like, no, there's no reason that anybody can enjoy this bread, no matter what their demographic is. It doesn't necessarily have to just be in a higher end
yep,
market, so
absolutely. 100% agree. I mean, and I think as an entrepreneur, you're always thinking, well, where can I sell this? Where can I get this in? How, who consumes? Anyone who eats should be buying Luvafoodie garlic lovers, as far as I'm concerned.
I
Be
love
at
garlic, so.
McDonald's, yeah, Taco Bell.
Well, I
Um,
think there's different, like, there's the food service aspect,
yeah,
there's some online distributors now, there's specialty markets online, that are very well, like, curated with products. So there's definitely so many different avenues. But you have to also just find the one that works for
right,
you, especially when you're starting out, because you can't expend all of your resources and energy on, we're a Northeast brand right now that will
right,
become a national brand. So it's working right now, selling it here in this area. It wouldn't make sense for me to transport my product right now across the country to, California on a truck if I still need to kind of expand in this area. So
right,
just
right.
finding where you need to be is important, and finding people who are passionate about the product, because you can get on a shelf, and that's only such a small part of
No,
it
it
if
has to
you're
sell. It has
yeah.
to sell. We all know that about retail, or it won't stay. So let's talk about, a lot of people are watching today and they want to try this bread, and I am one of them. And they want to know how they can get it. So tell us what's going to happen on Friday.
So Friday, we will open up our online store again, thumbread.com, for the remainder of the holiday season. And, if it works out well, we'll keep it for as long as we can. And you'll be able to buy the retail 4-pack, and you'll be able to buy the individual packs as well. And if I can talk my little sister, who's the head baker, into it, you'll be able to get our new flavor. But it's up to her because she's the head baker.
Okay, so that's exciting, everybody. Black Friday is Friday, and what a great way to try something new. Go online. Go. What's the website? Why don't you shout that out for everybody?
So it's thumbread.com.
Okay, and there'll be a link on top that will say
Yes.
shop.
Yeah.
And I think people are entertaining. They're starting to have parties again. Charcuterie boards are huge. This would be a great item. I know olive oil and dipping. Toasting baguettes, crostinis. I can see these sliced up and make crostinis with it. So it's a good time to try this bread, no matter where you live, and the fact that you're going to have this available to ship all the way across the country. If somebody in California wants it, they can get it.
Yes. And it will be fresh.
Yes, yes. So I know you have to go into the cities. I have to go do a couple other Love Foodie events and work. So I'm going to wrap up the show now, unless there's anything I've missed or
No, we
anything else
covered
you
all the
want to
bases.
share. I know,
No.
Danja, you have a Facebook page. People can follow you on social media.
Yes, we are all over Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Drives me crazy, but yeah, we're everywhere we need to be.
That's good. I mean, you need to be, and that's how you're going to
Yeah,
grow your brand. And so I am so glad that this worked out, that we could fit you in and you had the time. And I look forward to following you and your success in trying your
thank you.
bread. And Thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.